Hey friends, I'm Carrie LeZotte and we are in production. This is a show that I started a few years ago and we're bringing it back because I have a special friend that is in production. And this is a show, a podcast where we talk about the circuitous path of a creative life in production. And I'm so happy to welcome a very old friend of mine, Carrie Noga. Welcome, Carrie.
Hi, Carrie. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to see you again.
Yes, it's great to see you as well. And we're here because you've written a novel, a published novel called Sparrow Migrations, which was amazing. And I read it many years ago, I feel like. When did it first come out?
It first was published in 2014. So yes, 12 years ago.
2014. Wow. Okay. And now you're turning it into a short film.
Correct. Yep. I'm working with a small team of talented Michigan women to adapt one section of one storyline. It was originally a braided storyline, 3 different stories intertwined. The main character's arc is what's been adapted into our film titled Pacific Pilgrimage.
Okay, awesome. I do want to say that if anybody is watching, we have 2 people watching right now, actually. So if anybody wants to say hello to us, you can put a message in the comments and then it'll come up on screen. Or if you have a question for any of the filmmakers. So that's something that we're able to do here. So I do also want to talk about, I think that of the people I've interviewed, that you're the person I've actually known the longest. So we'll let our viewers know that we grew up on the same street in Dearborn. I was 225 North Waverly and you were
136.
136. So right across, and you were in the Yellow House. And sometimes we walked to school together.
Yes. Yeah. And I was a year older than you. We both went to Dearborn High School. Oh, 2? Okay. I was 87.
89.
89. Okay. 2 years. Do not let me forget it. So yeah, we both went to Dearborn High School, home of the Pioneers.
Oh, look who's someone saying hi. Oh,
Hi, Carmen, my old roomie from Marquette University. So nice to see you. Thanks for hopping on.
Excellent. Please continue.
Okay. So Carrie and I both went to DHS, and then went our separate ways after that. Carrie was part of a tight knit clique called the Giblets.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
At Dearborn High. And I don't know if any of those will hop on tonight, but back in the 80s, very early days of video production. And we had a class and an instructor, Russ Gibb, that was way ahead of his time.
Visionary Russ Gibb. That's one of the things we'll call him. That's the polite one.
One of the things. Yeah. And my niche there.
River 219. Hi, Linda.
Oh, yeah. Another North Waverlyite. So my niche was journalism, and I joined the school newspaper. There was the editor my senior year.
Marquette in Milwaukee. Person that I'm sure we have fans that are watching.
Yep. At Marquette, I majored in journalism, and then I went on to be a newspaper reporter for 10 years. But every journalist aspires to write a book. And it doesn't have to be a novel. It could be, anything, memoir, nonfiction, whatever. And so I always had that itch. And then I finally did it with Sparrow Migrations.
Well, I want to say hi to Mary. So Mary and I worked at Comerica together. So that's one of the things, and we made a little movie together back then. So I ended up being at, I went to Michigan State, and then I ended up at Comerica along the way. And what is the? Oh, thank you. Inspiration to start writing your first book. Well, we've got our first question.
Right. Okay. Sure. So the inspiration was my son, Owen. I wrote a book. I wrote it in the first 6 months after he was diagnosed with autism. And Robbie, the main character of Sparrow Migrations and the main character of Pacific Pilgrimage, is a 12-year-old boy with autism. And so it was really writing it was a way for me to process what our life might be like as a family, and then in his individual life as well. And what I struggled with most back then was the likelihood, really, that he was going to have difficulty forming relationships, because that's a very common characteristic of autism. And I thought, well, if he's going to have a hard time finding someone to love, maybe he might find something to love. And in the book, that comes to life through his love of birds. And in the film, it's one specific bird. It's the western snowy plover, which nests out in California, where we're going to shoot. So that was the inspiration. Right close to home. My own household, my own family was the inspiration for that book.
So tell us how the project is going right now, because that's one of the things, and I've got the link there so that people can find out more about it. And because if you want your own copy, that's one of the new incentives as far as you're trying to raise money.
Yep.
$50,000.
Right.
And you're halfway there. So congratulations, halfway there. And I think you're halfway towards through the Seed and Spark as well. So tell us about the book offer.
Sure. So yes, we do have a crowdfunding campaign through Seed and Spark, which is a crowdfunding platform just like GoFundMe or Kickstarter, Indiegogo, others that you might have pledged on or used before yourselves. But this one is specifically for artistic projects, music, film, that sort of thing. And there are various incentives for different donation levels. And we introduced a new one tonight of $250, gets you a signed copy of the book.
Oh, beautiful. I love it. Love it.
The book. Yeah. And I really like the back cover of this, which shows the airplane unfolded, which, I really love, like, the kind of the wrinkles and everything. And it's just like, wow, the story unfolding and, revealing itself. So I really like that cover. And this is actually the second edition of the book, I should say. The first edition was self-published in 2014. And then I was one of the kind of lucky Cinderella stories to get sort of quote unquote discovered. And, an editor found it. I was selling it in Kindle form on Amazon. And an editor said, I think this has more potential than you can do yourself as a self-published author, and acquired it and re-released it. And it originally had a different cover, but now it has that this huge make your eyes bleed font. It is so big.
And so you've written other books as well, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So if you go to CarrieNoga.com, I bet you can find out more about that. Okay.
Yeah. If you go to CarrieNoga.com, both the novels are there, and the film fundraising site is on there too.
Terrific. So we also have other members of your team. So why don't we introduce Carly and Natalie. Welcome, ladies.
Hi. Thank you for having us, Carrie.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, of course.
Good to be here.
So great to see you all. So Carrie, and tell me how did you all meet?
Sure, of course. So I live in Traverse City now, in northern Michigan. And Natalie and Carly are also both native Michiganders. Go Blue.
Go Blue.
And for a while, 10, 15 years, maybe even, Traverse City had a film festival, which was pretty well known. The filmmaker Michael Moore started it. So it was quite the thing. And it was full of, panels and Q&As and seminars. And I went to one of the seminars back in 2016, I think, called How to Adapt Your Novel into a Screenplay. And it was taught by an instructor that Carly had at U of M, Jim Bernstein, I believe is his name.
Yeah, Jim Bernstein. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I learned was I did not want to adapt my novel into a screenplay. It was a totally different skill set. And at the time, I was still working on that second novel. And I thought, and I've always had a quote unquote day job. I work at my local community college. And so I already have another side gig, so to speak, writing these novels. But I had often heard from book clubs that read Sparrow Migrations that it would make a great movie. It starts out with A Miracle on the Hudson, which is that incident from 2009 where Sully, Captain Sullenberg, landed the plane on the Hudson River, and everybody was safe and survived, and feel goods all around. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, I don't want to adapt this novel, but I do still think it has potential. And Jim introduced me to Carly, and I hired her.
That's bringing back warm memories.
Yeah. So I hired her originally to adapt the whole thing, the whole book, into what wound up being a 5-part series that we thought, okay, we'll sell this to the streaming market.
I think I remember that. So I think I remember, like, I don't know, some post from way back about you doing that. So we do have someone else that's saying hello, another Go Blue, and I do have
Go Blue.
Go Green. Thank you, Mary. And I'm going to shout out to Carrie Burke. Hi, Carrie Burke. Nice to see you.
Another Carrie.
Another Carrie.
Somebody Carrie's in the house. Yeah.
She's Kerry, though, so we're all 3 different spellings. So
yeah.
And so then, how did you connect to Natalie?
So Carly brought Natalie in. So Carly, take it away.
Yeah, of course. Well, and before we move on from the Jim Bernstein University of Michigan connection, I just wanted to show I still have my copy, obviously, of Sparrow Migrations, and we'll get into sort of the portion we're choosing to adapt. But I just wanted to show Carrie. I don't know if you remember, but you sent me a little card when we first initially did this.
Okay.
And I just want to say I still have it bookmarked in the chapter 23 of like the chapter we're doing. So anyway, I just wanted to share that.
Nice.
This really is a trip down memory lane as far as that. But as far as bringing it back to the present, how Natalie got involved. Natalie and I studied at University of Michigan together. And we both found ourselves out here at the stage of our lives, and we had connected recently on a short film that she had written and directed for the Easter Seals Disability Film Challenge that she's been submitting projects to for a few years. I was just dipping my toe into like the improv acting space, and I was like, do you need a volunteer actor? And so I had a great time on set with her, and the film we made together called Lit. For that competition, and the world started to kind of come together because Carrie had reached out to me just to touch base, and she said, you were the first person really to propose, do you think we could make a short out of this as a way of getting traction instead of just a 5-part miniseries? And I was like, wait a minute, I just worked with Natalie. She's a talented director, also writer, but director. I can write the scripts. We can bring on a couple producers. And so I don't know if it was an email or I was like, hey, I think I reached out to each of you individually and then brought us together in an email. We had a Zoom. Yeah. And that kind of was the beginning of it. We all just felt aligned with this desire to tell this story. Not only as an opportunity for a bunch of women creators to come together and like uplift each other and support each other, but also to increase representation of disability in cinema in a positive, fully fledged manner. So that's how we all got together and started this crazy journey.
Natalie, let's hear from you. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey from U of M, from Ann Arbor to Los Angeles, where you and Carly live now.
Yeah, definitely. So I graduated in 2016 from the University of Michigan. I studied film production there, screenwriting, and I was also in the residential college at the University of Michigan studying creative writing. So really, Carly and I met there, and we had worked on a few projects at U of M together. And then I moved, well, I think you moved out to LA before me. Yeah. And then I moved out to LA in 2019. Once I moved out here, I started working on a few short films. I directed a few projects for some like startup companies here in Los Angeles. And I started directing short films, and I ended up directing the film that Carly acted in. And she connected me with Cari, and I was able to read Sparrow Migrations, and I just fell in love with the character of Robbie, and I was hooked. So yeah, we just started working together on this script, and I guess the rest is history. But yeah.
So Mary has a question for us. What's the biggest challenge in adapting a book to film and remaining true to the story?
Ooh, maybe I should take that one as the writer on this.
Yeah.
So it's it's understanding that when you're writing a novel, you are the director, you're the sound design, you're the production design, you're the costume designer. All of that is in your words, and then it's up to the reader to create a visual representation of that world, right? It's kind of like when I first saw Harry Potter, and I had this just because it's a big book, right? Like, and I was just upset, right? It's like, oh, like I have the characters and how they sound and everything in my mind. When I go to see the movie, surely that's not going to line up, right? Surely there's going to be maybe a little bit of disappointment, but you also have to be like A for effort for trying to do service to a really beautiful novel, right? In fact, I remember Jim Bernstein, he taught a class that was all about, we would read the book, we would read the script, and we would watch the film. And it was about sort of the rewrites that happen across that process that really makes that story into what it is on the screen. And understanding, you kind of just do the best you can to stay faithful to the themes, to the characters, to what you're trying to achieve, and understand that a sentence on a page might either A, just not be necessary to have in the film as like a line of dialogue, or there's other ways to show it instead of say it. So I hope that sums it up. It's like you're trying to show instead of say. And that, yeah, I guess that's kind of the best way I can put it as adapting a piece.
So how did you all settle on what section? Because the book really should be a feature film or a series. So how did you settle on the section? And then when you're talking about a short film, how long of a film are you going to end up with?
It's 20 minutes. And about 20 minutes. And that's a really good question, because that was a bit of an odyssey, choosing the section that we were going to adapt. We actually, I think we started with a section of one of the 5 parts.
Yeah. Do you want me to chime in, Carrie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
go for it.
Okay. So basically, in the first draft of the script, we were actually trying to take different aspects of the novel as a whole and turning the film into a short script version of kind of the story in general. But then we really settled on one specific chapter, which we felt represented Robbie and his journey. And that chapter, Carly, you wrote down the chapter. Which chapter was it?
Yeah, it was chapter 23.
Yeah,
chapter 23,
chapter 23.
Robbie says, "How much farther from the back seat?"
Yeah.
See, and again, that's a line that we do something different with, right, to show it.
Yeah,
that's the chapter 23.
So I mean, that chapter specifically really showcases Robbie's love for birds and his passion for ornithology, and really maps out his journey and in meeting people and kind of developing these relationships with others that have love of birds as well. So that's kind of how we decided to make the short film out of that chapter specifically. And also I'm trying to think
I'm trying to show a little bit of the website, because you're talking about the imagery a little bit. So that's inside the scenes park. So here's a little bit of the I don't know, where did these photos come from? This was kind of like a board that you're creating?
So I created a director's vision board, and those photos kind of showcase what I would like to create from a visual standpoint for the film. And it really showcases how like the magic of nature really influences Robbie, and how the film is gonna showcase like the magic of nature, but also be grounded in reality as well. That's where those photos came from.
Okay. All right.
Can I interject? I just saw Mr. Carmen popped in. Joe Carmen was an English teacher.
Is that who that is?
There he is. And this is hi. And Carrie, did you ever have him?
I don't think so. I don't think I did.
Okay. And he was actually a big reason that I became a writer. Honestly, I had him in 10th grade.
I love that.
I love that too.
We had this assignment to keep a journal, and it was one of those things where we had to turn it in, of course. And I thought, he's just going to check and see that we wrote every day, and he's not really going to read it. And but he did. And one day he called me into the hall, and I was not the kind of student that got called into the hall. And I was like, "What is this all about?" And and he told me that he thought that I had some potential as a writer. And I didn't talk much in class because I was very shy and at the time and all. And so that was a huge confidence boost. And I wound up, then joining the journalism class because that was like a way to apply it. At the time. So yeah. So thanks, Mr. Carmen.
That's beautiful.
I started out writing in my school's newspaper as well, Carrie.
Did you?
Yep, that's how I started my writing journey. Yeah.
And
I did too, Michigan Daily.
Yeah.
Which towns are you two from?
Well,
Natalie and Carly?
I started mine in high school, my rifle high school newspaper. But yeah.
Oh, you did?
Oh,
I wrote for the Michigan Daily. Oh, that's
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's get to where are we with the production as far as, everything's like ready to go or in the fundraising stage. And so that's where you are right now, is trying to get the money to get into production. So talk about a little bit what goes into making a short film, and like what are the priorities as far as what is it that you need?
Okay, I'm going to let those two take it.
Yeah, sure. Natalie, do you want to start off? Or?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So, so basically we have a few different categories. So most of the funds are going to go towards production, which includes camera equipment, fees for locations, paying for food, transportation, anything else related to production, the costumes and props, any set design, and really just any artistic aspects of the projects, and also paying for our great crew and cast. And then we're also going to be funding our post-production through this project, hopefully. So that includes paying for our editing, for our editors, and coloring, and then hopefully also ending up helping us fund some distribution so that we can enter this film into festivals and really get the project out there for others to view and hopefully fall in love with as well. So yeah.
So have you done casting yet, or is there any other supporting crew on board right now?
So our DP
is
on board.
Yeah, so we do have a director of photography. His name is Alex. He's phenomenal. And so so we have our director of photography on board, and he has a lot of experience filming in nature. So he is the perfect fit for this project. And
we also should say, it'll be in a couple. We have two unbelievably phenomenal, talented producers. We wouldn't be here. Like we would not be here without them. That was something that as soon as the three of us got on board, Natalie posted in a Facebook group for producers, and we have two also female. So this is a very, very largely female-driven effort. Producers Sarah and Lindsay, who are equally they should be here as well. Because we would not be making this production without them. So I just wanted to chime in and give them their dues because they've been working super hard. Just wanted to shout them out, obviously, as well.
Yeah, I think Sarah was the liaison to Alex, correct?
Yes.
Sarah brought Alex on board. Yeah, which is why I think I thought of that. Yeah, so she brought Alex on board, and we're slowly growing our team. Yeah.
So Natalie and Carly, could you talk a little bit about what else you do? Like, how do you make money as a filmmaker? People want to make movies, and they want to move to, and they move to LA and they start doing projects. So talk a little bit about what else you're doing, because it doesn't sound like you're going to get rich on this movie.
Yeah, no, probably not. So I can start off. So like Natalie said, I initially moved out to LA right when I graduated, and I was ready to go. I was ready to get a job and everything. And it was incredibly difficult. Even with lots of connections, it's very, very difficult to break in, so to speak. And so I actually left after about 2 years, and I found a passion for health and fitness, and I became a nutrition coach and a trainer, and just sailed a different direction for a while. And it was really this project that kind of brought me back to being you know what, life is long. treat it like a marathon. Maybe there's still something there for you as a creative professional. So I ended up moving back out here, but I made sure I had the income to do it this time. I got a job about 3 years ago with the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, and I'm now a senior coordinator with them in the Internet and Technology department. So, and I just got promoted actually like 2 months ago. So
Congratulations.
thank you. Yeah, I work incredibly hard at that job. Super thankful to be serving members of the Academy who I admire. They call in, we take emails and solve their technical problems, and it's truly such an honor to serve like the artists I love with their technical needs. But that really is the only reason why I now actually have the bandwidth. It's the first time I've had one job in maybe like I can't remember, So now that I have that bandwidth and stability here in LA, which is an expensive city, now I'm able to kind of be like, okay, cool. I think I'm stable. I've got sustainability, and I can devote myself to other projects. I'm also a singer-songwriter, so I have a YouTube channel. And I devote time to creating content for that YouTube channel. And all of these things have only come about really because of that job. Right. So if there's any advice I have to people wanting to break into entertainment, it's put that stuff first, because everything else is just a gift kind of. So yeah, that's a little bit about me and my life in LA.
Mary, who made this comment, she's being very secretive about who her brother-in-law is, but he's an Academy Award winner. I'll just say that. So
my God.
He was also on Law and Order for like many, many, many years. So
yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone once said, a producer friend of mine said, this is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes.
And so I'm treating like everything that way in my life. But yeah, that's it's possible, but it really does take getting your, no pun intended, ducks in a row. Bird pens are a big part of the script that I enjoy infusing it with. So anyway, but,
Natalie, tell us your story.
Yeah. So I stayed in Michigan a little bit after I graduated undergrad from the University of Michigan. And then I ended up working at some music venues and movie theaters, and also some small projects. I was a freelance copywriter, and I still do that now. And then I also was an assistant to a singer-songwriter actually for a while. So that helped me save up some funds to produce my own short films and my own work, and also pay for fees to enter my screenplays in screenwriting competitions and all of those sorts of things. I mean, like Carly said, it's definitely a marathon. And after that, I ended up going to graduate school at Boston University for a year and a half. So I made more connections during that those years of study, and after that I moved out here to LA, and I continue to work at music venues now. It's great because it's a flexible job, so it allows you to pursue your creative endeavors but also have a steady income. And I also do other freelance work like copywriting and assistant work and that sort of thing. But
whatever it takes, right?
Pretty much.
Whatever it takes.
Cari, I do want to ask you a little bit about how you ended up in this, ended up thinking about the film, but I think that let's talk about more recently your career, because I think you were talking about a special project that you had at the school that you pitched. And I feel like that pitching process was very similar to the filmmaking process and production. So tell us what that project was when we were talking in our other call.
Sure. Yeah. So I, as I mentioned, I work at the community college in Traverse City, Northwestern Michigan College, go Hawk Owls. And I'm the communications director there, which means I work in public relations and marketing. But I've always, when you're a parent, that's always, part of your identity. And in particular, when you're a parent of, someone with a disability, that comes, at least for me, my experience has been, that's an extra layer of conscientiousness and awareness, and what is this person going to need from me, or how can I put forth my best efforts on behalf of this child. And so a couple years ago, I was offered the opportunity to go full-time. I had been part-time. And as part of going full-time, I negotiated to be able to spend some of that time developing a college program for individuals with IDD, which are intellectual or developmental disabilities. And at the time I thought, I was going to have to build this from scratch, and, didn't know anything about it. But a model program emerged here in Michigan called Ready for Life. It's based in Grand Rapids, and they essentially offer college programs at various campuses. They had one at Calvin, Hope, and Ferris. And then the Calvin College took it on. It's actually university now. Calvin University took that on as their own, creating a little space for them to add another college, which will be this fall, Northwestern Michigan College. They'll have their own. We'll host a Ready for Life site at NMC. They've sent out the first couple admissions letters, I've just heard, which is really exciting. So students will be enrolled in some of our classes, as well as life skills classes, and learning about independent living and financial literacy and relationships, and all those kinds of things. So
well, congratulations. I just thought it was such a wonderful program to talk about, and that how it's kind of expanding, and that there's more of those kind of services available. So I did want to make sure that we mentioned that. Carly, you were talking about you're also the composer for the film. So what is it going to sound like?
It's a great question. Yeah. So how that came about was I had a little bit of experience doing composing for short films in college. I had a couple buddies of mine where I would sort of act in them, and I would help crew a little bit. And it really, there is no title. Sometimes everybody just helps however much they can with different roles. But when I know this character so well now, again, I've had this book now for 10 years, and I have this I just have this little at-home recording setup that I use for my YouTube channel. And I just found myself, as I was writing the script, just sitting down at my keyboard and just being what would Robbie's world sound like? What would his internal world sound like? As he's our hero, our protagonist of the story. And I just kind of started tinkering around. And if you talk to different musicians, whether it's composing for film or whether it's their own or whatever, it's everybody's process is different. And for me, it very much became just very spontaneous. What would this character sound like? And I had this electronic piano. It's a very soft, curious sound. And I kind of just found myself meandering with this piano, because Robbie, if anything, is a very curious boy. He's a very sensitive boy, and he's a very soft. He has this softness about him that I think makes sense where he is drawn to this very soft creature. When you see a Western snowy plover, it's the cutest little thing in the world. And I was just what would it feel like him in his safe place with this bird? And that was how I just got started with this piano sound and some ambient, and just kind of still experimenting with it, obviously. And then once we final cut, that's when you really go in and do you sync it up and everything.
So Natalie, how will you? So when I've worked before, I usually wait. It's usually at the end, after you've got a rough cut that you bring in. That's how I've worked before. It's okay, now what is the music? How will it fit the film? So do you think you'll be having the actors listen to it, or is it going to be playing in the background? How are you feeling about the music?
Yeah, so I mean, right now we have just some rough cuts of songs, just to kind of basically create the atmosphere that we want to have in the film, so we know what we're going to be basing the cut off of, and just to make sure that we really illustrate that dreamy vibe that we want to have, and really showcase Robbie's point of view and how he feels when he is immersed in nature. So I think that we're definitely going to have the cut at first before we really start creating the final versions of the soundtrack and compositions for the film. But right now we do have, some general, I guess, drafts of the compositions. So I'm definitely going to, we have a video actually available right now on the Seed and Spark campaign that has a little bit of that music attached to it at the beginning. And then this, I think I believe it's there. Well, at least I know it's on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, it's out there somewhere.
Yeah, it's somewhere. I know it's on YouTube. But yeah, so and that has.
It's on our Instagram handle.
Instagram. That's what it is. It's on our
Instagram.
Instagram. It's on our Instagram. We have a short video that has the drafts of those songs attached to it, so audiences can listen to that and kind of get a general insight into what to expect the film to sound like.
Okay. Tell us about the competition that the script is a finalist in, because I hadn't heard about that. So it sounds like a lot of people are entering this and you're now one of the finalists. Is that right?
Yes, almost. So basically this was back in the fall, we were like, how else can we raise money? And I know the odds of winning one of these screenwriting contests are, they're really small, but I was like, you don't know until you try is kind of a mantra I have in my life moving forward, is like, if you never try, you won't win. Right. So you're the only person you're cheating really is yourself and your work. So anyway, I found this one that seemed like the only one that had a reasonable prize attached to it. And that was the one that my script has kept advancing in. It's called the Blue Cat screenwriting competition, and it got named as a semifinalist like a couple weeks ago, and then which was like the top 40 scripts out of over 1,000 entries in the short category. And so now we find out on the 17th if we're a finalist, and then from then it would be the winner, which would receive the $3,000 prize. But yeah, it's been amazing validation. Obviously, as an artist, you're kind of never sure what you're doing is good, or at least I'm that way. And so I'm like, oh, okay, like an unbiased third party is approving of this. Like, great, It always helps. It always helps build confidence as an artist when you have that like critical feedback. It's always hard to judge art, but it's been a really positive, I think, momentum for me as a writer and for our team.
Yeah. We have another comment from Mary. Another question: how can women outside of the arts as a profession best find, support, and promote women in the arts? And I will take this if you don't mind. So you can obviously donate your money to this project, because it will be funding all of these terrific women and other women that they've talked about. And I think that, buying art by women. I know that there's a Birmingham Bloomfield Art Center just down the street from me, and there's plenty of women artists that are producing work. And so Kickstarter projects, Seed and Spark, just you can follow and you can find the women and the stories that you're interested in. So would you ladies want to follow up on that question at all?
Definitely echo that, and don't sell your own voice short. Going the book club thing, I mentioned that before. I think that's been huge for me, and book clubs are mostly women. I've gone to dozens of book clubs over the course of the dozen years since Sparrow Migrations was first published, and I think that there's been like 3 men. And in all of those book clubs, which, not to say men don't read, but they don't talk about what they read, apparently. And there's always at least one person in a book club that's in another book club, and if you can get them to recommend your book to that other group, then it just mushrooms from there. And then that would be the same. In my own book club too, we always talk about, well, what movies have you seen? What are you watching now? What have you found on, on Netflix or wherever? So, share your tastes, your recommendations with others. That word of mouth, I think, really does wonders.
So I guess to recap, you're halfway or 53% funded to a $50,000 goal. and you've got about 20 days left on this funding project. So you've got a whole bunch of wonderful rewards or incentives in order to contribute. Any final thoughts for our viewers who are watching?
I did want to say, in addition to Carly mentioned the prize for Blue Cat, we have also applied for a couple grants and another prize. Those are things that Lindsay found for us. So we are definitely looking outside the world of crowdfunding as well to help support us. I also wanted to kind of bring around maybe a couple things to the soundtrack. For me, what I felt like, what came through for me when I heard Carly's inspo was the word plaintive. Kind of a seeking, a wanting, a yearning sound, which I think is what Robbie feels for that snowy plover. He wants so badly to protect it. And I also think going back to the script where we talked about how we changed it, one of the other reasons we changed it is we had some feedback from autistic readers that the first version didn't give Robbie enough agency. And so we shifted it to a altogether different part of the book where he does have more agency, where he can satisfy his own yearning. And I think that's a really important thing in this book. And I just wanted to touch on the fact that, we consulted, autistic readers to ensure that it was as authentic as we could make it. And I think it was Natalie's outreach that led us to those readers, and I think that it was really wise, and that the audiences when they see it and when they hear it in Carly's music too, they will feel that yearning, that desire on Robbie's part.
Natalie, what about you? Any final thoughts before we say goodbye?
No, I mean, I just basically Carrie really covered most of it just now. But yeah, I mean, thank you so much for everyone for tuning in today. And we really appreciate you taking the time to learn more about our project and our story, and to learn more about Robbie and his journey. And we really look forward to sharing this film with everyone. So.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And we do have you have a fan. Mary's saying, I can't wait to hear from you.
Mary, thank you so much for all your warmth and support. It means so much. Truly, thank you. Yeah.
Ladies, thank you for coming to In Production. It was so lovely chatting with you, and we all look forward to seeing the project move forward.
You as well.
Right.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you for the space. Appreciate it.
Yes. Thanks for having us.